Welcome to Rick's Corner. The man, the myth, the legend. Now on with the show.
Welcome to Rick's Corner. I've got Doug Brignole back, and I get people writing me and making comments on YouTube about certain things, and I try to answer all the comments as well as I can. And I get a lot of them, and more as this show grows, I get more emails and more emails and more emails, and I love it because I like to interact with all of you and try to give you guys good advice. But one thing I notice a lot of is criticism about guys being natural or they're on drugs. It seems to be a huge issue. And I don't really know why. I just don't know why. If a guy's an auto racer and he has a car, he's always going to do something to the engine to make it go faster. He puts it on nitro, he does certain types of gas, and whatever he does to the engine and mills the head. And
you don't expect him to be driving a Toyota.
No. I mean, everybody does what they can to do the best they can be. Now, we know that certain companies sell like creatine and certain ripped fuel and
nutrition supplements,
pre-workout drinks and all that kind of stuff, and no one says anything about that. First thing is, oh, he's on steroids. Well, there's a billion types of steroids. I had steroids in my wrist. It's not anabolic, but it's a steroid. Cortisone anti-inflammatories. There is one kind of steroid. People take steroids for cancer or different types of things. Allergies even. There's all kinds. So when you talk about anabolic steroids, this guy's not natural, he's on drugs. Let me just explain something over the years that I've seen. If you don't train hard, and if you don't eat properly, those drugs are not going to do one thing for you. It's just not going to work. It has to be a combination of everything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So when you see a guy who says he's natural that I've had on the show, some kind of push the envelope a bit and some don't. I've been putting up these 50s videos of these John Grimake and Clancy Ross and that. And those guys were natural. This is back in the 50s.
In the 40s, 50s. Yeah.
There was nothing there to take. They didn't have what they have nowadays. They worked hard. You saw them driving spikes through boards and lifting a car and moving a car.
Naturally.
That's natural strength, man. Right. You can build your body naturally if you work hard at it, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
When I first started training at the YMCA in Bakersfield in 1961, I gained quick. I went from 148 to 195 in probably 5 months because I started lifting heavy, getting my bench up, getting my squats up, putting on size, and it just came on because I was eating good. Now, I didn't know much about diet. I was drinking 3 quarts of milk a day, and my mom was ready to kick me out. You can't keep buying that milk.
Yeah, right.
We'd go out for Mexican food, and I'd come home and I'd drink a quart of milk on top of that, and that doesn't go well together. That's not kosher.
Well, and the truth is you didn't need it. You didn't know you didn't need it.
No.
But you got the calories and they helped.
Right, and spaghetti and meatballs and all the other stuff. But I did gain. I didn't get really fat. I got a little bit milk smooth, which we get. And then when I moved down here to LA, I realized that we got to cut that stuff out.
Yeah, right.
And then change and up the protein, and then I started getting more ripped. But my weight was around 212 when I moved here.
Yeah.
And I'm not that far off now.
How tall are you?
I was 6 feet. I'm probably 5'11" now.
Yeah, okay.
I shrunk over time.
Yeah.
But things are always looking up.
Yeah. The shorter you get, the more
you know.
They look up.
The longer you live, the shorter you get. And it just happens, and especially if you're doing squats all the time, it compresses your vertebrae, and you get shorter and shorter.
Especially with heavy squats.
Definitely, it makes a difference. So when you got
the heavier your squat, the shorter you get.
Yeah, I'm short on squats right now. I don't do them anymore. But this term natty, he's natty. I've never heard that term.
What is that?
Natural.
Oh, okay.
It's a new term. He's natty. I don't know. It's just. What do they call those things you breathe for science? A natty.
Nasal.
Yeah, it's called a natty something. It's kind of a weird term. But you shouldn't prejudge somebody, because what if a guy really does make good gains on his own?
Well, look, first of all, I would say that there's always going to be the person who's going to try to put down the bodybuilder because he himself is too lazy to work out, and so he wants to bring down the bodybuilder and accuse him of taking steroids.
Right.
And instead of saying, no, the reason why you look better than I do is because you work hard and I don't.
Yeah.
I remember I was 19 years old. I was working as a waiter at a restaurant. And by that time, I had a little bit of size on me. I'd already started competing. And I walked up to a table. And the guys, it was a foursome. There was two couples. And one of the guys looks at me and goes, hey, you work out? I said, yeah. He goes, you take steroids? I was shocked. It's like, no, I didn't. But the idea that you feel so free to ask me something like that, we don't even know each other. I was just your waiter. It's like me saying, excuse me, do you take antidepressants?
Yeah.
Excuse me, do you snort cocaine?
You take Viagra?
Yeah. How many drinks do you have? It's like It's none of my
Yeah.
business, none of your business.
No, people will ask me that too, and in the past said, "Do you take steroids?" I said, "Yeah." "You do? Don't you know they can kill you?" I said, "What's your source of information?"
Yeah.
"Well, I heard it on the news." I said, "You think they know anything?" The news came out here and interviewed me one day and said, "Google's taking over the Original Goals Gym." This is, I remember, they sent a guy out right in my den. Tell us your feeling about the Original Goals Gym, how Google's taken over. I said, "Well, first of all, the original gym's closed."
Yeah.
"What do you mean?" I said, "The gym on Pacific that was owned by Joe Gold has been closed for years, since 1973. And then it moved to Main Street, and then it moved over to where it is. Now it's owned by Omnicorp. So when you go down there and you're going to talk about this gym closing down, that's the Original Goals. It's not the Original Goals.
Right.
So newscasters do not have it right. I had an uncle that said, if it's in black and white, it's on the news, it's correct. No, it's not.
Well, look, the news people are going to try to make a controversy.
Yes.
Right? So they're going to present a story from a controversial side. And I can just tell you, everything I've heard about steroids from the news has been inaccurate.
Right.
And the problem is, if someone asks you if you take steroids or have you ever taken steroids, and you know that their only information about the subject is from the news,
Right.
you can't answer that question because they have a preconceived idea of what it is.
Exactly.
So if you say yes, you might as well allow them to be misinformed. You're better off saying no because you don't have the time to re-educate them.
Well, I had a doctor on here, Dr. Brownstein, who says they're not bad for you. And I saw an article that I got from a heart surgeon that says they believe they do help your heart, and they help other things as well. At the age of 40, you lose 1%, or I think 1% of your testosterone each year. It goes down from there. And so by the time you're 50, 60 years old, you don't have much testosterone left in your system. So you got to take some sort of a therapy drug to bring it back up. Now, women do the same thing with estrogen. They lose their estrogen, they become manly. They got to take estrogen, which is the same sort of a hormone. So why is it okay for them to take estrogen, but we can't take testosterone?
There was an interesting article that I read where, years ago we would hear all the time that if you took testosterone, that it would present a cardiac risk.
Right.
Well, it's true that if you have too much testosterone, you might have a cardiac risk. It's also true that if you have insufficient testosterone, you'll have a cardiac risk.
Exactly.
So they will actually now give you testosterone to take away the cardiac risk.
That's the article I read.
So, look, abuse of anything is bad.
Right.
But the truth is that, we shouldn't judge people, especially after they put in a lot of work into a sport, into a field, because we're jealous of them or because we want to discredit them in some way. Look, Lance Armstrong, of course, he's been out of the news now for about a year or two. But somebody asked me a good question. They said, why doesn't he just admit that he took steroids? And I said, I'll tell you why he doesn't admit. He only has 3 options. All those guys only have 3 options. You can either admit it with a reason, admit it without a reason, or deny.
Yeah.
If you admit it without a reason, then what you're tacitly saying is, yes, I cheated and nobody else did.
Yeah.
That's not
that makes a lot of sense.
If you say, yes, I took it, and the reason I took it is because the playing field isn't clean and I had no choice. They say, prove it. Well, that's the whole point. You can't prove it.
No.
So you can't say that either. They say, oh, you're just making excuses. So you just have to deny.
Yeah, but you can't bodybuilding. You can say that.
And then what I did is I wrote an article called The USADA Fails the Fairness Test. And what I said was this. If the United States Anti-Doping Agency could guarantee a clean playing field to an athlete, then he would feel good about competing clean. Mm-hmm. Clean, figuratively speaking. Mm-hmm. But they can't do that. They cannot tell you that the people that you're going to be competing against are not taking performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah.
So then you must, if you want to be in the top 100, you must.
Yeah.
And if you do, then the problem with the USADA is they'll come after you 3, 4, 5 years after you've won.
Which they've done.
You know what they did with Marion Jones is with Marion Jones, they never caught her. She never tested positive for her drug test. And what she did is she went to the Balco Labs, Barrier Laboratories, 2-3 years after she won her gold medals. They found her name on a roster at the Bay Area Lab. And they said, oh, this is interesting. She must have been taking steroids, even though she passed all the tests. So they went to her and they said, admit that you took steroids. She said, I didn't, and I passed all the tests. They said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We know that you accepted a check from Tim Montgomery, your former boyfriend, for a loan that he was repaying you. That money came from a fraudulent account. You're therefore an accessory to fraud.
Oh,
we're going to put you in jail for fraud, completely unrelated to the Olympics. If you don't admit that you took steroids. She had 3 children. She was a single mom. In order to stay out of jail and not leave her kids abandoned, she was forced to confess to taking steroids just to stay out of jail for
That's
some
insane.
completely unrelated charge that she had no knowledge about.
That's insane.
This is what's going on in the sports world. It's unfortunate, but the only thing I would suggest in terms of the Olympics or in terms of the Tour de France or any of these things, testing is good. I think we should discourage the use of drugs. Yes, I'm not saying we should abandon it. However, what I would say is we will test you as best we can. If you pass all the tests until the day of the event, you're home free.
Exactly what it should be.
If we find something in your blood 5 years later, we'll add it to our testing protocols later, but we will not take away your medals. We were not exposed.
It has nothing to do with it.
It has nothing to do with it. If you want us to participate in the sport and make money for the people that are participating in the sport, then fine, let's work with each other, let's cooperate.
Right.
But if you're just going to do this kind of like negative campaigning, that's just one-sided.
I agree with you. And you guys, when you do write in and you ask me, a lot of you have said, well, what should I take? Should I stack this and that? I can't legally tell you what to take. What if I told you to take something, you had a heart attack and died? I could be sued, right?
Well, what I would say to people is just go to the doctor, and if you're low on anything, have the doctor bring you up to your normal level.
And the other thing you want to check, even if you're going to check your levels of testosterone, check your thyroid, because I just checked mine. It was like really low. I was tired all the time.
That's very common.
Nothing was happening for me. I just felt lousy, so they put me on thyroid.
Yeah, I agree. Anything you're low on, you should make right. So I'm not against taking drugs that fix a problem.
Right, but don't buy this stuff on the street and mix this with this and this with this and say nothing's happening for me, because mostly 90% of that stuff is bogus, not even real.
Exactly.
It's salad oil.
There people are making it in their garage.
Exactly. So be careful what you do and where you get it. Get it from a good source. But then always start in moderation. I'm just telling you from the guys I saw down at Gold's and the other gyms that do it, the younger guys that are doing it, most of them are heavy and fat.
Yeah.
And they get this thickness about them that doesn't look right. They just don't look smooth and like they're full of oil. It's just not a healthy thing. Get in shape first. Watch your diet. Train hard. You can do it naturally to a certain point, and then you're going to compete. And then if you have to have the edge, a little edge, if you're older, but not when you're 20 years old.
Yeah. You have to think of the future.
Yeah, you do. I'm in my future right now. So
that's what I'm saying. Is we look back now. We have hindsight.
Yeah.
Right. So we can look back and say, thank God that we didn't do really stupid things back then.
Yeah.
That we'd be regretting today.
I did everything in moderation. I never took a lot of anything.
Yeah.
But I was maintaining about 212, 250, and I'm 220 right now.
Yeah.
And I train. You guys see my videos that my training videos. I train hard. I don't do the heavy weights I used to, but I do machines and I go from one to another nonstop. The younger guys say, God, my God, you just keep going. You're strong. I like to train like that, but I have a ton of injuries. A ton.
To work around.
When I train. I can't do certain things. The painful is, it's just very painful. So,
but you love it.
I do love it.
It's hard to stop. Yeah.
I can't stop.
Yeah.
I got to stay in shape. So that's my thing on natty, natural versus
natty and non-natty.
Yeah, because I don't know. I just, if I were you guys, I'd quit making comments about it. Accept what it is. These people want to do what they do, and if you think it's because you're only insecure about yourself, take a look in the mirror. I'm sure you have something great to offer.
I had a guy make a comment on a picture. He wasn't even on my friend list. I had a picture for Throwback Thursday, and his only comment was, "Nice physique. I wonder how many steroids it took to get that."
See what I mean?
It's like, you don't even know me, how it's completely rude and inappropriate.
Very inappropriate. Makes comments like that.
And the guy devotes his life and thousands of hours of sacrifice in the gym and dieting and everything else, and the only thing he can say is,
I know. This is what I'm talking about. This is what the comments are. You don't know the person, don't criticize them. You don't know what they do.
Yeah.
You don't know what they come from or how they live.
And ask yourself why you want to criticize them.
Yeah.
Because it's probably an insecure thing with yourself.
Exactly.
It's like, why not just build yourself up? Why put somebody else down?
Listen, not all of you guys do that. You're a good viewing audience.
Yes.
I love all of you guys. There's always a few that do this. You few that I'm talking to, look, I'm sure you have something really good to offer this world. I'm sure you have great things about you. Take one of those things and excel in it and make yourself seen by doing that, because people will respect you for doing that. Don't knock somebody else for it. I'm sure everybody has a good quality somewhere.
Right.
Just look for it and find it.
Exactly.
Right?
Good ending note.
But that being said, I just want to say...
Let me see this. What do you got there?
This is my original Gold's Gym logo that I did back in 1973 for Gold's. Now I've offered it on my website, rickdrasin.com. I will draw one individually for each person that orders one, make it out to you.
He's got a lot more paper here.
I got a lot more paper there. I'm selling a lot of them. A lot of them are hanging in gyms.
And each one is a little bit different.
Each one because
each one is unique.
Right. They'll hang it in their den. They'll hang it in their office. They'll hang it all over the place. So
signed to you.
Yep.
And then
autographed by me.
And then they appear on your show.
Oh yeah, and then if you send a picture with it, I'll put it on my show and show that you purchased it from me.
And you'll be seen by 20 million viewers.
And you'll get credit for that as well. And I'll put you on my Facebook as well. So it's at rickdrasin.com.
I like it.
Me too. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.
Write in if you have any questions that you want us to discuss, and we'll bring them up and discuss them for you.
Absolutely.
That's what we do. Hey, everyone. Now you can have the Gold's Gym logo drawn by me, the artist Rick Drasin. personalized and made out to you and signed by me to frame and put on your gym wall or wherever you see fit to do so. It's a piece of bodybuilding history. It will never be duplicated again. It's the largest selling icon t-shirt logo in the world. And I'm the guy that drew it, and I will draw it for you. Just go to my website, rickdrasin.com, and order there. You can pay through PayPal, and it'll be sent out right away. And be sure to watch Rick's Corner for all the videos on bodybuilding, nutrition, fitness, pro wrestling, and anything that suits your interest as far as getting physically fit and being the best you can be from the golden era of bodybuilding.
He's the equalizer, baby. See you next time.